Workout routines are meant to build strength and health, but sometimes they take a dark turn. Over the years, several athletes and fitness enthusiasts have tragically lost their lives during intense training sessions. This article explores some of the most heartbreaking and shocking workout deaths ever caught on camera or reported. At the Paradise Bali Gym, usually a place full of positivity, personal records, and post-workout smoothies, a tragic accident on July 15, 2023, turned everything silent. Vicki, a well-known fitness coach, bodybuilder, and social media figure, was attempting a massive back squat with 210 kilograms, about 462 pounds, on his shoulders. Justin wasn't a beginner. He was the guy you'd see repping out heavy lifts with perfect form, offering advice to newcomers, and sharing motivational posts about health, discipline, and strength. He had built a reputation not just for his physique, but for his attitude, humble, passionate, and always striving for more. But on that day, the barbell had other plans. With one spotter behind him and the cameras rolling, Justin got under the bar and prepared to do what he'd done many times before. He took the weight off the rack and began to squat. At first, it looked solid, controlled descent, tight posture, but as he reached the bottom of the squat, something went wrong. He tried to push back up, but his body couldn't handle the load. His legs struggled, and the weight shifted forward. He lost balance, and in a terrifying instant, the barbell crashed down onto the back of his neck as he fell. The impact was brutal. His spotter, caught off guard, couldn't stop the bar's momentum. The force of it broke Justin's neck and caused severe trauma to nerves that control essential functions like breathing and heartbeat. Gym-goers nearby rushed to help. Emergency services were called, and he was taken to the hospital for surgery. Despite the best efforts of the medical team, Justin passed away the next day, on July 16th. He was only 33. The news spread fast, first across Bali, then across the entire fitness world. People were shocked. How could someone as experienced and careful as Justin meet such a fate in the gym? Tributes poured in online. Fellow lifters, fans, and friends described him as a beautiful soul, a true motivator, and a man who radiated kindness and strength. But with grief came questions. Why wasn't he using safety bars? Why was there only one spotter behind him during such a heavy lift? Why didn't he bail out sooner? The video of the incident, which later circulated online, sparked intense debates. Fitness experts pointed out that during a back squat that heavy, it's essential to have side spotters or perform the lift inside a squat rack with safety pins in place. Others talked about the dangers of ego lifting, when lifters push beyond their limits for the sake of achievement, content, or pride. Justin himself had once said that the squat is dangerous as hell if not done correctly. It's haunting now to think those words came from the very person who would fall victim to it. His death became more than just a tragedy. It became a powerful reminder of how quickly things can go wrong in the gym, even for the strongest and most experienced athletes. Paradise Bali Gym posted a heartfelt message mourning the loss of their brother, friend, and inspiration. They promised to honor his legacy by continuing to promote safety and support within the fitness community. Vicki's story now lives on, not just in memories or Instagram posts, but as a lesson etched into the weights and walls of gyms everywhere. Respect the lift, respect your body, and never take safety for granted because no matter how strong you are, gravity always wins. Franco Columbu was more than just a bodybuilding legend. He was a symbol of strength, discipline, and timeless friendship. Born in Sardinia in 1941, he rose from humble beginnings to become one of the most respected names in the world of fitness. He was small in stature, but built like a tank, with a smile that made him approachable even as he broke powerlifting records. Over the years, he earned titles like Mr. Olympia in 1976 and 1981, competed in the inaugural World's Strongest Man contest, and worked as a chiropractor and actor. But beyond the trophies and muscle, Franco was perhaps best known as the lifelong best friend and training partner of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Their bond was forged in iron, literally, on gym floors, under heavy barbells, and during early morning runs that helped define the golden era of bodybuilding. Arnold once described Franco as not only his closest friend, but as a brother, someone who had been by his side through decades of triumph, failure, and life-changing success. Tragically, on August 30th, 2019, Franco's remarkable life came to an unexpected and heartbreaking end. He had returned to Sardinia to enjoy a vacation in the town of San Teodoro, That morning, he completed a light workout and reportedly participated in a local festival where he interacted with locals, laughed, and took photos with fans. Later in the early afternoon, he decided to take a swim in the crystal-clear Mediterranean waters. It was a warm, calm day, by all accounts, perfect for a dip. However, while swimming offshore, Franco began to experience severe chest pain. Witnesses say he appeared to struggle suddenly, showing signs of distress. Emergency services were called immediately, and a helicopter was dispatched to the beach. Lifeguards and paramedics rushed to help and pulled him from the water, where resuscitation attempts began right away. He was airlifted to the John Paul II Hospital in Olbia, but despite efforts during the flight and at the hospital, he was declared dead shortly after arrival. The cause was determined to be a heart attack, which likely occurred mid-swim, causing him to lose consciousness and drown before help could reach him. It was a swift and silent tragedy that caught everyone off guard. He had lived with humility, treated people with kindness, and remained passionate about health and fitness well into his later years. Arnold Schwarzenegger, visibly shaken by the loss, shared a heartfelt tribute, calling Franco his partner in crime and the person he trusted most in the world. "I love you, Franco," he wrote. "I know I will see you again." His funeral, held in his hometown of Olalai, was filled with friends, family, and admirers who came to pay their respects to a man who had never forgotten his roots. A second memorial was later held in Los Angeles, a city where Franco had trained, healed, and inspired thousands. Even in death, his influence didn't fade. It lingered in the gyms he helped shape, in the stories told by bodybuilders he mentored, and in the legacy of a man who proved that heart, not just muscle, is what makes a legend. Franco Columbu's life was extraordinary, but his passing was a quiet, sobering reminder that even the strongest among us are still human. He died doing what he loved, after a workout in the water, in the sunlit beauty of his homeland, in a way that feels fitting, a warrior at peace. In the world of competitive bodybuilding, few young athletes rise as quickly and brightly as Ziso Lungalo Tabete did. Hailing from South Africa, Ziso wasn't just another hopeful in the gym. He was a national champion with global recognition. In 2016, he won the prestigious IFBB Junior World Championship in the Dominican Republic, placing himself firmly on the map as a promising figure in the international bodybuilding scene. His performances were powerful, his physique impressive, and his passion for the sport unmistakable. But in a tragic turn of events in 2017, Ziso's life was cut heartbreakingly short in front of a live audience during what should have been another moment of celebration in his rising career. The incident took place at a bodybuilding event in Umlazi, KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. Ziso was a local favorite, and his entrance was highly anticipated. Known not just for his strength, but also for his flair, he often kicked off his appearances with a signature backflip, a move that combined athleticism with showmanship. On this particular day, he walked out onto the stage wearing socks, perhaps not realizing the risk they posed on the slick floor. As the crowd cheered and cameras rolled, he prepared for his usual flip. But as he launched into the air, something went terribly wrong. Instead of completing the rotation and landing on his feet, Ziso under-rotated and came crashing down on the back of his neck. What followed was a scene of sudden confusion and horror. At first, many in the crowd believed it was part of the performance, or that he would get up and brush it off, as athletes often do. But seconds passed and Ziso lay motionless. Panic set in as officials rushed to his side. It quickly became clear that this was a serious injury. He was immediately transported to a nearby hospital, but the damage was catastrophic. Ziso had broken his neck during the fall, suffering a fatal cervical spine injury. Despite medical efforts, he was pronounced dead shortly after. He was just 23 years old. The bodybuilding community, both in South Africa and internationally, was shaken. Messages of grief and disbelief poured in across social media. Wayne Price, president of Bodybuilding South Africa, later commented that the accident likely occurred because of the socks Ziso had been wearing, which may have caused him to slip and fail to gain the necessary momentum. It was a painful reminder of how even the most confident and physically prepared athletes can fall victim to sudden, unpredictable dangers, especially when performance and aesthetics are pushed to the limit. What made Ziso's passing even more heartbreaking was the fact that it was caught on camera. The footage quickly circulated online, with many calling for its removal out of respect for his family and memory. The video served as a stark and uncomfortable reminder of how quickly things can go wrong, even in a moment meant to inspire and impress. Ziso wasn't just a bodybuilder, he was a young man full of ambition, potential, and heart. His tragic death left a void in the sport and a lasting message about the importance of caution, safety, and awareness, even in environments driven by performance and spectacle. Though his time on this earth was short, Ziso Lungalo Tabete's dedication and spirit remain etched in the memories of fans, athletes, and all who saw his potential. His story is no longer just one of triumph, but also of tragedy and of the fragile line that separates both. Greg Plit wasn't just a fitness model, he was a force of nature, a chiseled symbol of discipline, drive, and daredevil confidence. A West Point graduate and former Army Ranger, Greg made his way into the fitness world like a hurricane, landing over 200 magazine covers, starring in motivational workout videos, and becoming a household name for anyone chasing that beast mode lifestyle. But behind the muscle and military-grade intensity was a man who constantly pushed the limits, both physically and mentally. And on January 17, 2015, that tendency to push a little too far ended in a heartbreaking tragedy. Greg was filming a promotional video for a new energy drink on active train tracks in Burbank, California. No permits, no warning signs, just Greg and a few crew members shooting what was meant to be a dramatic sequence of him running on the tracks, supposedly to symbolize power, speed, and fearlessness. He'd done similar videos before, filming in extreme conditions or challenging environments to add that raw, unfiltered edge to his motivational brand. But this time, things took a fatal turn. As he ran between the rails, a southbound Metrolink train approached at approximately 60 miles per hour. The train engineer immediately saw him, sounded the horn, and slammed the brakes. But Greg didn't move. It wasn't suicide. Witnesses and investigators agreed he likely believed the train was on a different set of tracks, or assumed he had enough time to get clear. Unfortunately, that assumption proved deadly. The incident occurred just north of the Burbank Metrolink station, in an area that clearly prohibited trespassing. Authorities later confirmed that neither Greg nor his team had requested filming permits from Metrolink or the city. In fact, Metrolink has a strict policy for any commercial or private filming near their tracks, requiring safety officers, flaggers, and permission from their office to ensure that exactly this kind of tragedy doesn't happen. But in a moment driven by ambition and cinematic vision, that safety step was skipped. Investigators reported that Greg may have been trying to film a head-on action shot with the train in the background, possibly misjudging its distance or speed. The train, weighing hundreds of tons and traveling at high velocity, had no chance of stopping in time. Greg was struck and killed instantly. His body was reportedly thrown from the tracks, and paramedics at the scene pronounced him dead shortly after. It shocked not only the fitness community, but the entire country. This wasn't just a tragic death, it was a preventable one. In the days following his passing, tributes poured in. Fans, fellow bodybuilders, veterans, and actors all expressed sorrow at the loss of someone who had motivated millions. Greg wasn't just a model. He was a mentor, a motivator, and a guy who genuinely believed in helping others achieve their highest potential. But his death sparked a louder conversation about safety in filming, especially in unofficial or guerrilla-style shoots. The parallels to other film-related tragedies, such as the Midnight Rider incident that killed camera assistant Sarah Jones, became painfully apparent. Industry professionals and fitness influencers alike began calling for stricter adherence to safety regulations, even in self-produced content. Because no shot is worth a life, Greg Plit lived like a superhero. But his tragic end reminded everyone that even heroes are bound by the laws of nature and the rules of safety. His legacy continues to inspire, but also serves as a sobering reminder that when you walk too close to the edge, make sure it doesn't lead to a set of live tracks. Dallas Big Country McCarver was a rising titan in the bodybuilding world, a walking wall of muscle who, at just 26 years old, had already made it to the Mr. Olympia stage and was considered one of the sport's brightest stars. Towering at 6 feet 1 inch and weighing well over 300 pounds in his off-season, he had the kind of size and symmetry that made jaws drop and judges take notice. But in August 2017, the bodybuilding community was rocked when news broke that Dallas had died suddenly in his Florida home. At first, reports pointed to a tragic accident involving choking on food while eating alone late at night. It sounded almost too strange to be true. His girlfriend at the time, WWE star Dana Brooke, mentioned that she had spoken to him just before the incident, and his last words to her were simply, "I love you. Goodbye." Those chilling words would echo across the internet as fans and fitness buffs tried to make sense of what had happened. The initial speculation was that Dallas, perhaps rushing his meal as bodybuilders often do to hit their calorie targets, had choked and collapsed. Emergency responders arrived and CPR was performed, but it was too late. The 911 call later revealed that his roommate found him unconscious, with food in his throat and insulin nearby, a clue that made the incident seem more complex than a simple choking accident. As shocking as the headlines were, the deeper truth turned out to be even more sobering. Months later, the autopsy report painted a very different picture. Yes, food was found in his airway, but it wasn't the primary cause of death. The real culprit was an acute cardiac event, a massive heart failure brought on by a dangerously enlarged heart. To put it in perspective, the average human heart weighs around 300 grams. Dallas's heart weighed a staggering 833 grams, nearly 3 times the normal size. His organs were also significantly enlarged, and his arteries showed heavy plaque buildup. All signs pointed to the long-term effects of extreme physical stress and likely the heavy use of performance-enhancing substances. Sadly, this isn't an unfamiliar story in the bodybuilding world, where the relentless drive to be bigger, leaner, and more defined often pushes athletes into dangerous territory. Dallas was known for his intense work ethic and larger-than-life persona, but even his close friends admitted that he pushed himself harder than most, often ignoring signs of fatigue or physical distress. In hindsight, his massive size and rapid growth weren't just the result of hard work and diet. They were red flags for a body under extreme internal pressure. What made Dallas's death hit so hard wasn't just that he was young, talented, and popular. It was the fact that he represented a generation of bodybuilders walking a razor's edge, idolized for their incredible physiques while often silently battling the toll those physiques took on their health. His death sparked widespread discussions within the fitness community about health risks, drug use, and the culture of more is better. While the image of a giant choking on dinner might have made for a sensational headline, the truth was much more tragic. Dallas McCarver didn't just die from a freak accident. He died from a system that rewards pushing beyond limits, even when it comes at the cost of your life. His story stands as both a cautionary tale and a somber reminder that behind every perfectly sculpted body might be a heart struggling to keep up.